Hello, Warriors. We really have a treat today. I'm joined by Jake. Jake, can you help me with the pronunciation of your last name?
Wajastic.
Wajastic. Jake Wajastic is with us. That's his handle on Twitter, and he's also a co-founder of a great technical tool called TrendSpider. We're seeing it right in front of our screen. Jake, great to catch up with you.
Great to catch up with you too. Thanks for having me on, and it's been a while, so a lot to catch up on.
Well, you know, your reputation here at TradeGate Hub and TradeView Markets precedes you because one of the best, no, really, listen, one of the best stock traders I've ever met, and I've been around, at least 5 years, right? But Mike Venezia is one of the really a talented stock trader, and you're in his curated Twitter feed that he pays
Awesome.
attention to. And he was very happy to when he found out you're going to be joining us. So you already have fans here because
Awesome. Well,
Mike does
I
pretty.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So CPI, Jake, people are popping the champagne corks here today. Dollar's weaker, yields have broken quite a bit. S&Ps look like they were on the verge of heading. I thought they were going to go to about 36.30, and now we have this huge candle here. Do you interpret this as being something that will be long-lived, have some legs, or should we be aware that it may just be a news event to fade in a few days?
Yeah, I think I'm the CPI. It's one of those things where I'm not completely always sure that it's 100% correct, but yeah, the market liked what it saw. And clearly keeps going up. I've just got ES on my screen right now.
Right, see it.
And yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. There's clearly this kind of symmetrical triangle here that's forming, and we're starting to break out to above resistance. But at the same time, we did kind of break down a little bit earlier today, as you can see here. Yeah. So, is this that valid of a kind of threshold? We'll see. What I'd prefer to do is just kind of look at the volume by price and look at where your break-even supply and demand zones are. So you can see here, this is pretty much just market profile. We call it volume by price on TrendSpider. But what you can see here is
we're right there.
Yeah, we're pretty much where a lot of supply is. So this is, this is higher than what we got to a couple of days ago. So we are kind of breaking through some of that. But now we're in the heart of it. So this is exactly where I'd expect a rejection. This is exactly where we rejected back in late October. So this is definitely a crucial area to get above. So pretty much until we close on the daily, I'm going to call it on ES right around
that previous high, 39.20.
Yeah, right around 39.20. I think it's just, I definitely think this is a short covering event. I think a lot of people got short the markets, and, with all the FTX news and all that, I think a lot of people thought there'd be some contagion. I definitely thought there'd, maybe not contagion in the equities markets, but definitely thought it'd flow over a little more. But clearly a lot of people were short, because that's how you get these types of moves is, pretty much a short squeeze. So, yeah, you can see right now we're just kind of having trouble getting above that spot. You can kind of
starting to develop a little bit of a wick there. So, I always tell people, that's why they call me coach, is that depending upon your TF, and for years, I would anticipate candle closes. And it didn't always work, because I didn't want, like right now, if I was bullish and I wanted to get long, I would hate to have to chase it over 39.20. So if I think it's going there, I'm going to put my toe in the water. But you never know what kind of candle you have until the darn thing closes. So is that the way to go and see what kind of close you have? This is what, a daily candle?
Yeah, I generally like to wait for a daily close, above a specific level, not necessarily, to tell people to go long or short, but just to see, is there actually enough conviction by, the demand side of things to close above this area, because then a lot of the time this break even supply zone can then act as a base for price to move up higher. So I generally, if I were to just an ideal situation, what I'd like to see something like this where you get a break above, a retest here,
Yeah.
and then a continuation up.
Okay.
But until then, this is just kind of a supply zone that's been supply zone multiple times back in late October. So yeah, for now we'll kind of see what happens, but this is exactly where I'd expect a rejection, right at this supply zone. And not necessarily, rejection meaning that price can't go higher, but at least in the short term. Like you said,
Right.
time frame's a big thing. On the daily, we're at resistance. On the weekly, we're also at this area. Go to SPY for this one.
Okay.
We're still at this area. So this is the COVID low VWAP. So essentially the volume weighted average price since the COVID low, essentially the dollar cost average of, every share that's been traded on SPY. This is essentially your volume weighted average price, your dollar cost average since the COVID low. And you can see it's been a pretty important level multiple times over the last, several
Yeah.
months. So, initially it acted as support. We got a bounce off of it. Then we broke down, acted as resistance shown by this red circle. We broke out of it in July, had a big rally, pulled back, initially bounced, broke through. Now we're right back at this spot. So,
Yeah.
we're still at a pretty long-term resistance zone here until we can really break above this area. And this is a zone. So it's not just the VWAP. So what I do is I generally like to add a little bit of a zone. So you can see here, if I take away the zone.
And all of these tools are on TrendSpider.
Yes. Yep. We're using
Okay.
TrendSpider. So I'll kind of explain, here in May, we did break below the VWAP a little bit. So
Yeah.
I want to capture that wick and kind of within the calculation. So I generally want to capture this wick, and then I'll add another offset above to kind of create a zone. And so when I do that, and a lot of it is dependent on the security, right? If I'm on SPY, my VWAP percent offset isn't going to be the same as it is with something like Tesla. Tesla may have like a 2% zone. This is I think this one was a 1% on each side. So pretty much another VWAP 1% below, 1% above. That's what creates this bigger blue zone, this blue shaded area. So until we kind of get a area, so let me just take away the circles. This is pretty much the area that I'm watching. And then until we break above that, notice that we closed right at that area in the
with no
third week of
follow through.
October.
Yeah. No follow through.
It's pretty much just looking kind of the same, but
You
generally
want
after
confirmation.
elections, generally after elections, you get a rally. A lot of the time, the market doesn't like uncertainty. And with the elections kind of behind us at this point, there's less uncertainty. So the market likes that. The market clearly likes the CPI, even though it's still very high. It's less than what was estimated. So I think I forgot what Fed speaker said this morning that they may be able to slow rates in the coming months, but they just they say a lot of stuff, so you got to filter some of that out.
All right. Well, I'd like you to see your look on the 10-year yield, because I've been talking about the failing rally we had, that we were not able to take out 435 on the 10-year with a very hawkish Powell and a very strong headline number last week. And it looks like we're going to have some type of reversal week. I mean, is this a week or a month? Okay, so this is a monthly. All right.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that we could pull back down towards the two. Does that come in at 260?
Yeah.
I have a target that we could be at by early next year of about 270.
Well,
I'm wondering if your work shows that, or is it too early, maybe you have to go to see the failing rally, you would have to go like to a daily.
Yeah, you'd have to go to a daily, but the crazy thing is I've had this chart pretty much since, before we broke out here, and this yellow target has not changed at all. So
How did you come up with that target? Is that market profile too, or what was it?
no, no, this is just basic horizontal levels. This
Okay.
was kind of a crucial area. Once we broke out through this area
Yeah.
here,
Right.
generally, yeah, obviously this previous high was also a target.
Hmm.
And then once you break out of that, you just kind of go up to your
Yeah.
next horizontal level. But yeah, this was just an area that I kind of had charted out. But it definitely seems like it's reversing here. If you go to the daily, I don't have anything on the daily chart annotated, but we definitely are starting to kind of roll over here a little bit. So if you just draw a basic kind of trend zone here,
Yeah.
you are starting to break down. So on the daily chart, you're definitely starting to maybe have a little bit of a change in trend. Your moving averages are all kind of clearly up, increasing right now, but the 20 day is starting to kind of roll over and flatten out here too, which could be indicative of a trend change for sure. So moving averages are great for some people to trade the 20 crossing the 50 or whatever, but they're also really good for gauging trend.
Yeah.
They're essentially telling you what is the trend doing in this case, the 20, the 200, and the 50 periods. So you know
They can be
50.
magnets as well, can't they?
Yeah, definitely. They become a self-fulfilling prophecy a lot of the time. So the 20 week is starting to flatten out. So possibly, more of a shorter term trend change here. 50 and the 200 are still definitely increasing at the moment, but you've got this breakdown here of this trend zone. You've got the 20 weeks starting to flatten out. So wouldn't shock me to see a little bit of a change in trend here for sure.
With this happening, the dollars come off, and we've had pretty strong precious metal markets since last Friday, when we have like another a binary event, like the Fed pause or not pause, and now it's will China open up or not open up, and curious as to what your work is saying about this rally and maybe the miners or gold or silver and then the dollar.
Yeah, for me, it's hard to do too much analysis on gold, at least on like a daily chart, just because there's so many gaps. So I generally like to zoom out a little bit. On the weekly chart, you've got this huge falling wedge breakout here.
Yeah,
So, you
that
know,
looks pretty good.
very, very big breakout. Another almost 2% today. Same thing though, just turn on the moving averages, see what the trend's doing. 20 week is still declining, but the price is breaking above it. Something we haven't had literally in several months. The last time that we really interacted with the 20-week moving average was pretty much when we broke down through it, and that's when your downtrend really gained some steam. So, is this kind of the flip flop? Maybe a shorter, medium term uptrend is starting to take place here, but this is the first time price has interacted with that 20 week moving average since May,
Yeah.
and we're breaking above it. Now, do we close above it? We'll see. It's Thursday, so we still have a day left for the market to do what it wants. But so far, a pretty solid look here.
Okay. And the yen was a big story in foreign exchange all through the year, and the BOJ had to come in, intervene a few times. The Fed floated a Wall Street Journal article a few weeks ago to help it, and people were saying, "Oh, BOJ is just throwing money at it. It's not going to work." Looks like it worked. We have a bit of a breakdown in U.S. dollar yen happening here, and have you noticed that it correlates quite well with yields? US dollar yen and yields.
Um, I really don't pay too much attention to this particular pair.
Okay.
I haven't really looked at yields much as far as like a correlation, but clearly it's breaking down. I mean, if you compare the two, they're moving
Yeah.
pretty much together. Let's
Yeah, they
see.
are. If you overlay it, it's pretty similar. And
Yeah,
then
I don't know why I can't. Generally,
after
I can.
do an overlay.
Yeah, I'd have to go on a different workspace,
Okay.
but I mean, just looking at the trends, since 2021, it looks very similar to the 10-year. So,
Right.
definitely a breakdown. This is on the weekly chart, so we got the 20-week moving average up here, clearly making the market,
Yeah.
multiple times on this uptrend. The price just respecting it, perfectly many times. So this 140 50 or so will definitely be an area, a line in the sand, for price to kind of figure out what it wants to do.
Okay. Interesting area. So now that I picked your brain for all the information I want for my narrative, let's go to what you're thinking, Jake, and some of it could be individual issues, it could be any instrument that you were paying attention to coming into today and possibly have a narrative for something. Okay, you want to talk about what Bitcoin did?
Yeah, well, I think Bitcoin is a pretty big deal in the equities markets. It is a pretty solid proxy for risk on, risk off kind of activity in the market. So, um, the most recent kind of news with FTX being pretty much insolvent. That's definitely something I'm continuing to watch. I don't necessarily think that I don't necessarily think that um, this is
It's
over.
over. Yeah.
No, I mean, you broke down through a pretty big point here. So pretty much from the 2017 high on Bitcoin, just extend that level over. This is an area that we kind of were bouncing off of
Right.
for the last several months. Finally broke down through it. Bitcoin's at 17.4 or so right now.
Nice
So
recovery today. What's it up about 1500 on the news?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
So you definitely at this point have something kind of like this. So there's two other times where we've broken down through this support zone. So back in May, had a pretty big move to the downside. So pretty much from 37 down to around
Yeah.
25, you had about 30% move. Broke down here, we had about a 40% move down. We broke down here. So far, we've had about a 16% move. But you can see here that we are recovering. So it wouldn't be
Yeah.
shocking to see, a retest of this previous support zone at least, right? So like generally a lot of the time you break down, you retest. So in this case, retest of the mid 18s would make sense. And then we go from there, right? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know, what's going to happen tomorrow. But at least for now, unless the Fed comes out and really says, "Hey, we're gonna stop raising as quickly as we have been," I don't think the macro environment's going to change that much. But day to day isn't isn't really. It is moved by macro news, but day to day, there's price action that does move kind of on its own. Some people say, "Oh, why is the market up today? The Fed keeps raising rates." Well, yeah, but that's kind of, you have to look at that as kind of like the medium term. On the day to day, you can have some pretty crazy swings in the market that just happen because it's noise in the markets. So,
So closing back over 18 grand would negate the breakout, make it a false breakout, and most likely this was a washout. I mean, I know there were people talking about 14. We almost got there, but if you pull up a Newmont chart, same time frame, you're going to see an example of a false breakdown under 40 and what happened. And
what's
this
the
was
ticker?
right before Newmont, NEM. And this was right before the gold bottom. Okay. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, some of the best trades are false breakouts. And
Yeah.
because you have
Yeah.
people wrong footed in the market. And that was pretty classic. Almost looks like it recovered a lot faster than Bitcoin, but I'd be aware. It was already a crypto winter going into this decline. Perhaps this is a crescendo and spring's around the corner if we
Yeah.
start closing back over 18. Just a thought, Jake.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think let's go back to this one. I think you would want to close pretty much above 19. This is
19.
I really don't like to use exact lines. Yeah, the market doesn't move in precise,
No,
price penny
it's
to the
more like
penny.
a mattress than a piece of concrete,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So this zone goes up to around 19K. So I would want to see a close over 19K. Then you look at the weekly. Definitely would need to close back above this area here. That's around 18. So,
Yeah.
that's on the longer term side. 18 is kind of this zone that you'd want to close above, but on the daily, it was closer to 19. But you look at the monthly
What's
chart.
what was that lower shaded area, Jake, that you had on the prior chart underneath where we were, where it comes in? Yeah.
Just the previous highs that we had in June of 2019.
What was that again?
So that was right around 13.2 to
13.
13.7
Okay.
ish. So,
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
but yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, is almost at 17.5 at this point. So clearly some work to do, but who knows? Could just be, a false breakdown. But
Yeah.
I think time will tell. I think,
Yeah. Time always does.
yes, it does. And,
The
we'll
tincture
see if
of time, Jake.
yes, we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see if any other craziness comes out of the crypto world. I mean, the thing is, these things happen so fast. I mean, within one day, FTX was
Yeah.
pretty much just insolvent. So it can happen very quickly. For now, a decent bounce, and we'll kind of see on the daily chart, what happens to this zone here in the next couple days.
Yeah. Maybe it's better that it happens in one day. At times it's
Yeah.
taken me years to become insolvent.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, it could
Anyway.
have just been a big blip on the radar. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But the reason I brought up Bitcoin is because I think that definitely was driving the markets
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
CPI is driving it today, but for now, a breakdown. And I think, like we talked about on ES. Let's see what ES is doing now. Where we're at. We're still going up. So
Yeah. No
market's up
wick.
almost 4%. So clearly risk is back on, and we'll just see if we can get above this area. But it's very interesting that we're definitely at a kind of make or break point here on futures, on SPY.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think today, pretty much into tomorrow is going to definitely be the deciding factor in what happens. But decent weekly charts or weekly candles here. So clearly ES looks a little different than SPY, but generally when you've got kind of this red candle sandwich, a lot of the time I like to say that you do actually get a continuation up. So you got strong green candle.
Yeah.
You got this outside bar that literally took out all the price action. Now we're trading in this within this range, last week's range. So if we can really break above and close, I'm going to say close above 389. Then I think there's more room to move up. And so if you look at the volume distribution, since the high here, you don't have as much
A
volume
lot
up
of
here.
space. A lot of space there to
So
go to
yeah,
what,
price.
4,200?
Yeah, it's around. Yeah, this supply zone goes up to around 415. So yeah, around
Okay.
4150. But yeah, I mean, look, that's a decent amount of
Yeah.
space, and this essentially almost acts as a vacuum a lot of the time, and then this next supply zone is kind of a magnet. So if we can close, I'm gonna call it 390 because this.
Okay.
The top of this area is right around 390. 390 is also psychological zone, so I'm gonna call it 390 actually. instead of 389 that I'd want to see a weekly close above. But if we get that, there's a lot of space up here that price can move through quickly. So,
Yeah. I
something to
wanted
keep
to
in mind.
ask you if you've noticed this, is that when the dollar is selling off, everything is good. And when the dollar is in a strong mode, everything is bad. And there really isn't much differentiation between different asset classes and instruments, that the only difference is maybe beta and magnitude. But it
Mhm.
seems like that expression, it's all one market, has never been truer with
No, for
what the
sure.
dollar does. Do you notice that too, that it's really all one trade?
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah,
It's just, what's making the market, is it a
yields
lot
or
of the
the dollar
time. Yeah, exactly. So right now, I mean, the dollar's down. Yeah, the
down
dollar's
hard.
down huge.
Yeah,
And you got this rally.
yeah,
You've got this basic trend zone that we kind of identified on the 10-year, pretty
yeah,
much almost the same one breaking down here,
right,
which definitely would be good for the markets for
right.
sure.
It's been a headwind.
So this definitely looks a little bearish. But at the same time, this market, as soon as you get something that looks really bearish, like yesterday in Bitcoin or the markets, then you get these huge moves to the upside. So definitely some classic bear market activity, just huge swings up and down.
It's hard to get
So
2 days in a row in the
yeah,
same direction. Yeah,
not a lot of
really have to be a patient
swing trade
person to be a,
ideas.
yeah, to be a position trader. You really need patience. And but you
Hmm.
know what? To hang out with you and bat the ball around today, Jake, was fun.
Yeah, well, thank
And
you
I
so
learned
much.
from you. I have some ideas that you presented, and I'm sure anyone who's watching us live or sees the video later is going to want to know how they stay in touch with your work, like Mike Venezia does on Twitter, or possibly um, look into Trend Spider because of the way you just navigated around with Trend Spider. Is they're really clean looking charts. I mean, they really are. It's
Thank
it's
you.
almost like artwork
Well,
what you
thank
do.
you so
It's not
much.
chart
Yeah,
work, it's artwork.
yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, trendspider.com is where you can check out TrendSpider. I've been using it the entire time we've been on here, and it's definitely a chart platform. We were looking at charts on it, but it's a lot more than that too. So, it's a scanner, it's a back tester. There's a lot of things you can do with it. If you're a newer trader and you want to learn candlestick patterns, we have candle pattern
Tutorials.
identification, so you can kind of train your eye. I mean, there's a ton of things you can do on it. So yeah, if you want to give it a shot, we do have a 7-day free trial, and you just go to trendspider.com.
Mike has it. Mike has the software.
Awesome. Well,
Your
thank you, Mike,
fan,
for
you're
being
your
a
fan
customer.
here at TradeView Markets, Mike Venezia.
Well, thank you,
Um,
Mike. Appreciate it.
yes. So great catching up with you, Jake. You
Hey,
know,
thank you for having me on.
always
We
rooted for you, and I knew you before you were real famous.
well, thank you. I appreciate it. And
Th- Thanks for
look
not forgetting us little guys. Now,
yeah, no, I hope we can do it again soon. Honestly, I think the last time I was on, we were talking about like Macy's or something, way back in the day. So
yeah,
yeah, that was when the market was really taking a dump. So we'll see what happens. But next time I'm on, who knows? Could be a completely different conversation. So
yeah,
that's what's nice about the market. You always have a new perspective, and literally at this point day to day
yeah,
for the market. So keeps you
yeah,
busy.
yeah. You won't have to do brain exercises if you're a trader.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a jigsaw puzzle every day. So
Yep.
thank you, Jake, for hanging out with us for a half an hour and sharing your insights with us. Much
You're very
appreciated.
welcome. You're very
And we
welcome. And
know.
thank you guys so much.
All right, my trading warrior brother, follow Jake. Check out Trend Spider. And most of all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Thanks again, Jake, for being here on TradeGateHub.com.
You're very welcome. We'll see you next time.
All right, adios.